So you'd love to have an art business, but you can't because you work a full-time job. But wait, you can. And as you watch me draw this today, learn the exact habits, strategies, and mindsets that I've used to grow and scale a $3,000 to $5,000 a month art business, all while being a full-time employee. And learn why this will be the best decision of your life. Now, at the basis of how to do this and how this is gonna work for you comes a major core understanding and a caveat. Look, you need that full-time job. You need to pay the bills, you need to support your families, you need to make sure that you have food on the table, and you need to probably make sure you have a little bit extra for some fun, right? However, though, this has to come from one critical understanding, which is that your job doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Yes, you need it for things. Yes, it does exist. No, I'm not telling you that you should go ahead and quit your job and pursue your passion for art when you don't have any other means of supporting yourself, okay? Your job needs to exist for one of two purposes, and you need to recognize which one it is. Which is, first off, is your passion your paycheck? So that means, like for me, I'm an art teacher. Like, I really enjoy what I do, and I'm able to use my skills in order to fuel my passion. Or you can look at it as if you just have something that you need to do and you need to do that job just to make ends meet, just to financially support yourself and those that you care about, right? In that sense though, your paycheck supports your passion. You have this passion, you have this drive in order to start your own business, in order to grow your own thing, because just to be real with you, your job will replace you if it really needs to. If it really comes down to it, they're not gonna feel bad about having to do that because they have to. And conversely too, if you died tomorrow, your job would replace you in about a week. When you build an art business, I can't call myself into my own office and say, okay, Sean, well, hey, we had a bad quarter, we gotta make some cuts, so sorry man, gotta fire you. Like, you can't fire yourself, and that's why it's so necessary for you at some point to build something that is your own, because at the end of the day, you are working for somebody else's dream, but not your dream. Like, if you're going to just put your heart and soul and every drop of energy you have into that job, that only accomplishes two things. Number one, it enables your lazy coworkers. And one of the things that's been really hard for me to do over the years is to learn to say no to people, as I've also been in leadership positions, as I've also led teams, as I've been responsible for multiple things in multiple careers. That's been rough for me, but I did learn that I needed to learn to say no and to set those boundaries. And then number two, it also enables manipulative management, because they will start to rely on you and start to put more on you than the people that you know in your job right now that you probably resent, because they're probably not doing as much as you, and they're probably getting paid the same amount as you, even though you're responsible for more. And that's not right, and that's why you're having all of your energy sucked dry for what you actually want to pursue. And that's also why later in this video, I'm going to teach you about why and how to manage your time wiser and your energy too. But the one thing I want to let you know, Brent, is that your job is there to support you, but it will not enrich you. And that's why I want to introduce all of these, what I call the pillars, for you to actually grow and sustain an art business while you're working full time. And here comes the first one. Now, in order to make this work, I kind of realized early on what we tend to do a lot, especially when we're busy, when we have families, when we have lives, when we have children, right? Is that we probably keep some type of a schedule, don't we? And you put down when you have your doctor's appointments, when you have your meetings. We're putting a maximum amount of effort into all the tasks that we hate, don't matter, and won't change our lives and won't do anything for us long term. And we're putting absolute minimum or nothing at all into the tasks that we actually care about, that we need to. And this is why I started to develop a flexible schedule. And when you're doing this, you don't need to do an insane amount of times every single day in order to make this work. But just think of it like this. You work your 9 to 5, and then you have somewhere in the area of 6 to 11 every single day, where that's for you. So one of the things I would recommend for you to do is to just go ahead, use any app, any program that you like, and literally make sure that you block your time for your art making, for your business, for your project, whatever that's going to be, whatever small steps you're gonna take towards it, you have to block that time and keep it sacred. Remember that the majority of your day, I learned, is not really about me. It's not about what I want to do. It's just about what I have to do. And when you're stuck in this mode of doing things things that you have to do, you feel resentful, and then you also eventually just start to feel numb to it. And then you just let your passions and your dreams go to the wind. And that's such a weird concept that we're taught and we're actually conditioned into, and I'll talk to you about that later on, why that happens. And that's not what you want, is it, friend? And in a minute, we're gonna talk about how do you best utilize this time, because I get it, you've got a lot of things going on, but you approach it flexibly like this, it gives you this. Obviously, things are gonna come up. Obviously, things are going to happen. Obviously, people are gonna get sick. Obviously, you're gonna have emergencies, right? So if you don't get things done in a certain time, you can shift things around. If it's supposed to happen at this time and it doesn't, it's gonna happen at this time. And look, you've got pockets of time. Just to let you know, the average person wastes about 2 hours a day. And what if you just filled that time alone, never mind all the other time doing the other things like I'm gonna warn you about later in this video. And at the core of this, just think, if you are able to schedule everything else that's unimportant in your life, don't you deserve to schedule the things that are actually gonna change your life? One thing that is a particular sore for me and just so irksome is how many people on YouTube that are really, really accomplished artists and very, very well-intentioned, but they're lying to you and telling you that you need to do 50 flippin' things. No, that is dumb and stupid, and I'm gonna tell you why about it. And one thing I wanna encourage you on is just pick your number one thing that you are most passionate about, that means the most to you, that you would like to eventually build a business on. And what is that? Maybe you want to freelance. Maybe you want to work with private clients. Maybe you want to work for studios. Maybe you want to start an Etsy shop. Maybe you want to start a comic and eventually monetize that. Whatever that art business is for you, friend, that is the one thing that you need to do, because amongst you also, being a parent and being a spouse and being a full-time employee and being an active member of your families, then you also need to accept the fact that it is best for you, in your best interest, to just make sure you're doing one thing. And you need to focus on that one thing until you get there. And the reason why a lot of artists burn out and feel dejected is that they try and do 8 different things. And that's because you've been told that you need to diversify your income and you need to collect all of these passive income streams. But honestly, that advice is total trash, because the only time at which place you can diversify is when you are in a place of comfort. And the only people telling you that are people that are in places of extreme comfort. But when I first started out, and what most people do, and when you look at any company that's ever scaled and grown extremely large, is that they focus on one thing first. So if you focus on that one thing, that freelance, that comic, that Etsy shop, that selling at conventions, whatever it's gonna be for you, friend, just wholly niche down, ultra niche down into that one thing. It's manageable, it's sustainable, you'll have the energy for it, and it'll make you feel good because you're actually gonna accomplish. And listen, you can diversify as you go up, but here's what I'm gonna recommend for you once you get to that stage, is you need to diversify within your alignment. So like for me, I was an art teacher, then I built a freelance business, then I started a YouTube channel right here where I teach people how to get better and I teach people how to build their art business, and then I started my private mentorship, which by the way, I've got loads of details for you in the link down below. Go check out my website and learn why it's way better than what you're probably used to right now. And through doing that, through making sure everything was aligned and I'm not trying to do 8 different things that don't even relate to each other, it's been so sustainable for me. It's been comfortable to grow over the years too. And if you're not sure exactly like what you should niche down into, what's the one thing that you should do, let me just make it simple for you. What's the number one thing that you love to do? And if you could do nothing else but that one thing and get paid for it, what would it be? Simple, right? Now here's one other thing that's really simple. Please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying this and you're learning how to grow yourself and your business too, because I'm here week to week to give you realistic, actionable advice. And if this is helping you, please make sure you share it with somebody that you know so that we can help out another artist just like that. And now here comes the next pillar you need to do. Now clearly you've probably thought about throughout this video, well, like the sacrifices I'm gonna have to make, and that makes you feel uncomfortable. And then you're also starting to think about, well, what am I not gonna be able to do? And that establishes a huge rut for you. And one of the things that I wrestled with, and I had to learn the hard way, and I think a lot of artists do, is that we don't understand that you doing something meaningful for you is a trade-off. And your success is going to be proportionate to the trade that you're willing to make for it. And a big issue that I see a lot is that so many artists are wanting to have their cake and eat it too. And they're like, okay, well, look, I want to go ahead and I want to be able to play loads of video games, and I want to have incredible, amazing artwork, and I want to have excessive amount of free time, and I also really want to make sure that I produce my comic, and I want to be able to sleep 10 hours a day. And what this produces is just this realization is that oftentimes we want success, but we want it on our own terms. And that's not really manageable. And you also want it within your current security zone. But success is a trade-off. It's a trade-off of your current comforts and your current securities for an even greater level of comfort and an even greater level of security and an even greater level of fulfillment and accomplishment. And so one of the major things that I learned is that I had to trade and cut the fluff. And one of the biggest fluff that I need to let you know that is sucking all of the time, energy, and potential away from you is your indulgence in media. And one of the things I inevitably came to, and it really will change your life, friend, is when you realize this. You have to pick a lane here. Do you want to be a media consumer or do you want to be a media producer? Because you will not succeed at doing both. You will succeed at doing one of those things in favor of the other things. And again, by you being a heavy media consumer, you're making somebody else's dream come true. They worked for it, they labored for it, they succeeded at the thing that you want to do. But by you overindulging into that, it's not doing anything for you in your life. And if you want to just be a raw consumer, okay, that's your choice, that's your life. But I bet you're watching this video because you actually do want to improve your life. And I have like loads of thoughts on this. I could make a whole video on it. If you want to hear all about the difference between being a consumer and a creator of media, let me know down below because I'm happy to make that one. But as you're approaching your art business and as you're growing it, you want to scale it, right? And especially when you're starting it, I just want to urge you to consider this because it's something that I came to the realization of too. Frivolity should take a backseat to your maturity because otherwise it's the cost of your dream. And a big part of that is discarding your past ideals, your past ideologies, your past comforts for opening the door to even greater possibilities. Wouldn't that sound better for you too? Now in building your art business and as your life evolves and changes, right? You're inevitably gonna go through these cycles of like, well, I can't make artwork here and this is my best time. And then you eventually start to develop this paradigm of like, I can only make art right now. Tell me down below, like, when is your time? Are you a morning dove? Are you a night owl? Well, regardless, it doesn't matter, friend. It really doesn't matter, okay? You are the one that sets a standard for that and nobody can control that other than you and your own decisions. And a lot of artists that I meet are like, well, I'm a heavy night owl and there's no way that I can get up. And if I want to build a successful art business, then I'm going to have to do it at night because that's when people go to bed. That's what I do too. My family goes to sleep. I work on my art business. But one thing I've learned is that, first off, there's no such thing as a night owl. There's a lot of research that backs and proves that. And I really love the Alex Hormozi approach. Like, if you think you're a night owl, here's all you have to do. Go ahead, stay up crazy late like you normally would, then get up crazy early, and then you'll be too tired to go ahead and do anything at all. So just go to sleep. And all of a sudden, and not magically at all, you're not going to be a night owl anymore. And what this brings up is the fact that you can condition yourself for creativity. Wherever you have the opportunity to work on your art business, to grow it, to work on your artwork, you can condition yourself to do it. You just have to train yourself into it. You have to train yourself into a habit. You can train yourself into a conditioned routine too. And you have to make that effort is where it starts. And like for me personally, I've trained myself through several different times. I've done it really early in the morning. I've done it later at night. I've done it even on my lunch breaks. Like sometimes you can just work on an iPad. Sometimes you can work on your sketchbook. You can do things in pockets of time. Again, like we talked about earlier, right? Look for those moments and capitalize on them. Because one of the worst excuses you'll ever come to and make, like many people do, is that, well, it's not my opportune time. But your opportune time is when you actually have opportunity for time. Now, what if I could tell you that you not pursuing your art business and not growing what you actually want to do is costing you tens of thousands of dollars? And here's how I can prove it. So what if, for example, every single time that you didn't make any progress, you got a bill for it? And just think of it like this. When you go to a doctor's visit, you get a bill. Or for example, where I live, all of the buses are equipped with cameras. And if you go by them while the stop sign's out, you will get a $1,000 ticket. And that's enough of a deterrent for me to know, yeah, I really don't want to blow it. And I also don't want to kill someone's kid, right? And in the same vein of thought though, this doesn't happen. Like you don't see the downstream effect of you not investing into yourself and you not creating the life that you want and you not building and working through the project that you want because you live in the immediacy of right now. And that's a really great lulling temptress though. And the best way I can think about this is that if I never made the efforts that I did, I would not be in the current place that I currently am. I would not be able to give you advice and talk to you like this. I would not have the establishment that I currently do. And that really would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And you can also look at it like this. We tend to do a really great job at making 5-minute decisions about what we should do, how we should invest our time or not invest our time, and a really piss poor job at looking at instead, is this a 20-year decision? How does this look down the line? And just to look at things in a broader scope, but I can also put it to you like this. Aside from being a husband and a father, having a full-time job, running a mentorship, running an art business, I'm also a doctoral student, so I'm writing my dissertation right now. And at the outset of doing this, here's one thing that I came to realize. I could look at the cost of me going to school and getting this and say, that's too much right now, it's too much time or it's too much money and it's just not worth it for me right now, or I'm too busy and I've got all these things going, right? But here's the way I looked at it instead. In my current state, just for getting a doctorate, I get a $15,000 a year pay bump on that. And so over the course of the next 30 working years of my life, which will be about what I have by the time that I graduate from my program, I become Dr. Sean, that will net me $450,000 over my working time. So I looked at it as, what is the opportunity cost of this? Because the opportunity cost is me making almost $500,000. And in the same vein of thought for your artwork, look at the opportunity cost by you not investing into yourself. Because all too often, we're only looking at what do we have to do right now instead of what does that look like 20 years from right now. Have you ever considered this? So starting any art endeavor, and especially any art business, having any dreams that are very lofty, right? Inevitably entails that people are going to doubt you. And I want to tell you right now why, from a very young age, I'm so grateful that everybody doubted me and did not believe that I would make this happen. When I was younger, my family kind of looked the other way at me, didn't think that this was gonna work, tried to push me into other fields, tried to push me in other directions, when all I wanted to do was I knew from a very young age, I want to be an artist. I want to make this work. I want to be creative. This means something really special to me. And because of that, you either get one of two reactions, which is to be told it's unrealistic and it's stupid, or people just kind of ignore you and they're just like waiting for you to figure it out on your own. And one of the best things you'll ever feel is when you prove them wrong. When you prove that you're actually, yes, able to do that. Like the first time I ever got an art teaching job, people were like, whoa, okay, I guess you can do this. I guess this is a real thing. Good for you. And then that kind of taught me one major thing. It's not anyone's job to support you. It's an unrealistic expectation that's been thrust upon us to expect everybody to just unconditionally support you. And that's because, like, honestly, most people just don't care about you to that degree because they're not you and they don't live your life. And I learned one major thing as I grew into adulthood. So just to give you another example here, my wife is an amazingly supportive person. However, though, when I started this YouTube channel, she had a lot of doubts and she wasn't mean about it. It came from a loving place. She was afraid that doing this was going to take away from the family and therefore we would have less opportunities too. But when I made this work and I worked for it for a sustained period of time and she got to see the benefits and the rewards of that, then to this day, she still says to me, okay, Sean, I was wrong. And I'm really glad that I was wrong about this because this was great for you and this was great for us too. And so what that taught me is that the most important thing that you have to do is you have to prove that people need to support you. And you need to prove it through conversations and demonstrations. So you need to converse with the people closest to you and let them know what your dreams, your goals, your ambitions, but also converse with them about what you want to do and the actions that you have to take. And then you have to back it up and you actually have to do the thing. You have to take action. You have to show them that you're taking those steps. You have to show that you're making progress. And what that does is that it earns their support. And you deserve their support because you backed up your words. You've been a person of integrity and you've proven to yourself that you're actually doing something with your life and you're doing something meaningful and you're allowing the people around you to eventually reap those benefits and rewards, because you're gonna have to understand too that your words and dreams are totally hollow if you're not backing them up with action. Have you ever considered that? Now let's also take a look at this over a scope of time, because your most important thing that you're definitely thinking about right now is how much time is this gonna take? Yeah, Sean, it's easy for you because you've got this right now and you can tell us all the things that you think that you should do. And maybe that worked for you, but it doesn't work for me, right? And look, I don't wanna be nebulous. I don't wanna be obscure with you. I'm gonna tell you exactly what you need to do and exactly how much time it's gonna take for you, okay? So the thing that I just want to hit you with right now is that you need to have 6 to 12 months of hard, focused, consistent efforts in order for you to even measure if what you're doing is anywhere near remotely successful. And I highly recommend that because there's way too many artists that just try it for a couple weeks, try it for a month, try it for a few months, and then they're like, oh, this isn't working. It doesn't work for me, even though you didn't work for it. If you didn't work for it for a sustained period of time, you don't have data, you don't have metrics, you don't have anything to assess or evaluate and look at, okay, I did this work? Is this effective? Also, here's another thing. What are you investing into it? What are you not investing into it? How are you not using your time well? How are you doing some of the other things I'm gonna warn you about in a minute too? And how is that impacting everything? And the number one issue I encounter a lot is people are like, okay, well, Sean, time's gonna pass and time's gonna go by. It's gonna take so much time. Yes, but you know what, friend? Time is gonna pass anyways. And the same amount of time it's gonna take you to do this is the same amount of time it will take you to not do it. And guess what? Time doesn't care about you, but you should. And I look at this best through the lens of like when I got my first art client. It took me 6 months just to get one, and then it took me a few more months to get my next one. And then over the course of like 5 to 8 years, I eventually built that up to a consistent amount of clients all the time. And then when I started my YouTube channel, I've been going at this for 4 years now, and it literally took me a good 1.5 years to really get my footing. And there are so many artists that will just dump out after making like 3 videos, or like they'll make 10 videos over a 3-year span and be like, oh, this sucks, it doesn't work for me, but you didn't work for it, man. So you can't really say that. Or when I started my art mentorship, I started with 1. It took me a couple months to do that. And then it took me a couple months to get my next client. And then slowly I built some momentum, and we'll talk about that today too, why that's so important for you. It is so much more sustainable for you to build something slow. And because of the fact that you already have a full-time job, you have a means of supporting yourself, you have the time to do it. You have the emotional and financial, and you have the energetic resources to do it if you're approaching it like I'm suggesting for you. But it's gonna take some time, and it's your call how you want to approach this current time, or you can suffer through the rest of time. It's your choice. Now, on the topic of time, you're probably a little nervous about, well, how much time, or this is gonna take me so much time, or Sean, I don't have 8 hours a day to draw, like, whatever. I can't do that. I got things, I've got kids, I've got people to take care of, I'm a caretaker, I've got other things that I need to do with my life. I wanna live my life, right? Okay, guess what? I get that. The people that can do that, that can work like 6, 8, 12 hours a day, all right, awesome for them, but there are a rare few, and that's not the way that it should nor needs to be. One of the things that has been really successful for me is just understanding the fact that I really love making small efforts. I like small wins. I like doing small pockets of time to work on my art, to work on my business, to do the tasks, to do the things associated with it. And what that's taught me is that many rocks make a mountain. And there's way too many people that feel dejected from even starting, from even attempting to make the business that they want out of their artwork because of the fact that they feel like they have an insane time investment. But instead, I want to encourage you, use small pockets of time. So one of the things that worked really well for me is I've looked at, okay, where's there an hour that I can use? Where's there 30 minutes? Oh, I'm not doing anything that day? Great. I'll schedule in a little pocket of time there. Or sometimes I've even looked at, okay, look, I've got 30 minutes. Like, what can I do? What can I accomplish? If you look at it from just a micro scale here and you say, okay, look, if I do an hour 5 times a week, I've done 5 hours of work. If you look at that over an entire month, that's 20 hours of work. If you look at that over a year, that's 240 hours producing a way better art business than what you currently have right now. And that's the problem. Most of you are gonna feel terrible for what you don't do in a day, and you will overlook the fact of what you can't do in a year, and you'll overlook what you have not done in 10 years. So what I heavily encourage everybody to do all the time, it's been a real game changer, especially for the people that I work with in my mentorship, is that you should gauge your time and your time investment over the course of a week and not a day, because you'll feel terrible for what you don't do in a day, but you'll completely overlook what you haven't done or have done in a week. Because just to be honest, I don't work on my artwork every single day, but honestly, I invest 15 to 20 hours a week into my current practices, into my current business. So if you think about how many greens construct an entire beach, that could be the product of your effort. How's that sound instead? Now, as you're growing your business, you're doing a lot of things. Now I know what you're saying. You're like, oh, Sean, well, I don't have any energy. I'm getting really tired, right? You're investing energy into your home life. You're investing energy now into growing your art business, and it's going to take more energy from you. So listen, one of the best things, I want to let you know that way aside from any financial gains that you get from this, because your physical wealth is going to be the best benefit that you'll ever get in your life. And it's especially important for us as creatives to keep our physical health up, because we glorify really terrible habits and really terrible postures and really terrible physiques and really terrible toxic eating habits in order to sustain ourselves, at least we think we do. So one of the things I want to encourage you is that make sure that you get outside, make sure that you exercise, make sure that you eat, make sure you drink too. Like when you drink water, like here's a big thing. A lot of y'all don't drink water. Hang on, let me show you this. Y'all check it out. See this? This is a half gallon of water. I drink 3 to 4 of these every single day. Your body is mostly composed of water, and not having enough of this is why you're feeling lethargic, guarantee it. And then aside from that too, things that I've started to do, I make sure that I have a morning routine. And this doesn't have to be like a 3-hour workout every single day. Look, I do it again through small bursts. One of the things I do every single morning, I start off, I take a completely cold shower. Like there's no heat in that. I do that for a few minutes, then I crank up the heat and you feel wonderful. It's rough to try to start, but it's amazing and addictive. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. Love it. Another thing I do is I do about 5 to 10 minutes of just quick workouts, just quick floor exercises, push-ups and sit-ups and squats and all that. Things that don't take any weight, don't take any gym. You can do that too. Things you also want to think about. Do you take walks? Do you play with your kids? Do you go out and play some basketball? Like get into something that's going to give you physical health, because when you invest into your physical health, when you're in better physical health, when you're in better physique, you have more confidence, you have more energy, and that fuels your creativity, friend. And you can't ignore that while you're building your art business, because that's also going to make you crash and burn. Now, the topic of you building something and you doing hard things and you investing yourself into something that's inevitably, it's gonna have some challenges. Like you're gonna face some difficulties. And then throughout your life, you're also gonna face life difficulties. You're gonna go through highs and lows, ups and downs, seasons of extreme success and seasons of difficulty. But this all brings into focus the topic of mental health. And one of the things that I want to tell you about, I'm not going to give you a big spiel about how you need to sustain your mental health, okay? But what I am going to tell you is an unorthodox but extremely true version of the best way for you to sustain your mental health. And that's through you taking actions towards your goals. Yes, you have a lot of things that you could naturally be depressed, anxious, that you can be concerned with. But honestly, nothing will make you happier, nothing will dissolve all mental health concerns as much as you working towards your goals. Because from you working towards your goals, you gain gratification. From you working towards your goals, you will then gain momentum. And then from all that, that will immediately combat all of your stress and anxieties. Because one thing I've learned is that the place of worst mental health I've ever been in is when I wasn't achieving my potential, when I wasn't working towards anything meaningful. And a lot of us, we're stuck in jobs that we hate, that we don't like, that don't personally fulfill us, that don't reward us. And I've been there too through other jobs. Even though I'm currently in a job in a field that I extremely love and I have a lot of passion for, I get a lot of stuff from, but I've been in that place too. I remember that feeling. It's just sitting there and it eats away at your soul, that you're not doing what you're intended to do, that you're designed to do, that you're meant to do. It's killing you. That's a major cause and concern for poor mental health. And the worst mental health you'll ever feel, my friend, is you failing to try hard at what is actually meaning and relevant for you. And look, I'm not minimizing all of your concerns. I'm not minimizing your diagnosis. I'm not minimizing any issue that you have here. But what I am going to tell you, just very realistically, is this. You staying in a poor rut where you're not achieving what you could is the cause and is exacerbating all of your mental health concerns. Think about it. And look, you have a million reasons to fail. What I'll let you know is that they're all right, but they're also all wrong. And you're gonna encounter all of these. And you're gonna encounter things like, well, Sean, I have imposter syndrome. Well, you know what, you're right, because you haven't started anything, you haven't started working towards it. And once you start working towards it, guess what? Now you're not an imposter, now you're just proven. Oh, Sean, but I have perfectionism. It just eats away. You don't understand, I'm so slow, I can't do this because I need everything to be perfect all the time at all stages. So why is that? You're working on tasks that are irrelevant or unnecessary at that exact point. And you also have unmanageable expectations. Or you're like, well, Sean, I'm so anxious. I don't know how this is gonna work. Or what if this happens? What if I get success too fast? Okay, why do you feel that way? Because you're completely lost in thought and completely undermining actual action. Anxiety doesn't exist in action. Anxiety exists in thought and in future thought. It does not exist in the current moment. So if you're too focused on what could happen, may happen, will happen, then you're just losing sight of right now. I get it. All of this will happen. But the most important thing for you to realize while you're on this journey is this: action equals momentum, and momentum equals trust. Every action that you take builds trust. It tells yourself, yes, I can do this. Yes, I am capable of it. And this builds this thing that we call confidence, right? And some people think, oh, confidence is just in some people, they're so confident, they're so lucky. No, friend, they've just taken enough action that establishes the fact that they should and could trust themselves enough. Have you ever considered that? Because this is the main thing. And through trust, guess what you also build? You build self-love. You build self-appreciation. You build faith in yourself. And that's the way that you're going to continue to sustain and grow your art business. But you've never been told that, have you? But it's the truth. So here's a really brutal realization that I've come to. But I'm really happy that I did, because it put me through the ringer to learn it. One of the things that I've always noticed, not just with myself, but also with the artists I work with in my mentorship, and then through my own personal realizations too. And let me just ask you this. Have you ever started to take a step forward and then something awful happens? You get a bill. You have an unfortunate circumstance. Oh, now you got to take care of somebody. Or like, oh, now my job changed. Or I had another child. Now I have to take care of them. That's a bigger time commitment for me, right? Look, I get how all that goes. I had a marriage and 2 kids through building my art business. So I get you, right? The thing I've come to realize is that you're never going to grow when you're comfortable. And most of the time, as soon as things get uncomfortable, that's when you just quit. That's when you just dump out. And that's the easiest time for you. It's like the biggest exit ticket, isn't it? And that's a danger, because I want to let you know this: life will test you when you're trying, not when you're ready for it. And a lot of times we're like, man, I'm waiting for this season, I'm waiting for this moment, I'm waiting for this time opportunity for me to start. When you are the most uncomfortable, when you are in the middle of actually pursuing something, that's when life is going to test you. And when you're leveling up yourself, that's when life gets harder. It becomes like that boss at the end of that hard dungeon. It becomes like that boss in a Souls game. Once you have died 50,000 times, then you finally get there, and it still challenges you. That's how life is going to treat you. And the reason why isn't because your life is unfair, isn't because you're not worth it. It's because you have to prove your worth. And one thing that I've kind of come to realize is that every single time that I'm about to level up, life is going to kind of be like that bully to push you down and see if you're going to get back up. And I'm going to encourage you, friend, you need to knock that bully in the face. You need to prove to it that you are superior. You need to prove beyond your circumstances that you are the master of your own life. Because it's way too easy to sit in comfort. It's way too easy to just recoil every single time that you're fearful. But the real riches that you want and the life that you want is on the opposite side of comfort and fear. Have you ever considered that? Now, there's so much that you need to do, that you need to prepare for. And when I was first starting my art business, I was like, man, why does this seem like something that nobody talks about? Why does this seem so hard? And why are there so many people that are still toting useless advice out there, like the fact that you need social media or any nonsense like that? Like, that's total crap. And if you want more strategies and tips for how to build your art business, go ahead and check out this video right here. I'm going to tell you all my secrets to help me get to where I am today so that you can do better too. Thanks so much for watching. And if this helped you, share it with somebody that you know. See you next time.